time flies, and I remember Issa Bakar, and when he kicks the ball, you can't even see it sometimes. It's already a goal. So that's how I feel in this discussion. But I want to end by looking at the role of the parent, not what they can or cannot do, but how would they be seduced by the system and the football industry if we make it right and nice and lucrative. Any parent would want to see their kids being successful. So I want to go back to Frenz here, and maybe your biggest stakeholder is not actually the young footballer, but actually the parents.
I think that was the first obstacle, if I can call that, when we started, when we wanted to start the academy, convincing the parents of our concept. They understand that their children have talent, but they think of it as a hobby and not as a profession. So we're here to change the mindset. But what makes them feel good about allowing their students to come to academy is the fact that we've coupled it with quality education. So I think if we did not assure them that, that a thinking athlete is what we're after, someone who is very good
at soccer. Are they insisting on the education part, on the average? Because they want their son, for example, to be a thinking footballer? Or is it more out of fear that if they don't make it as footballer, at least they can go back to formal education?
It's the latter, the fear. Because you feel as if you're letting your child down if somehow, somewhere down the road, they can't find employment, can't fend for themselves. So to them, it's a safety blanket.
Let's put that responsibility on Manvir now. If the grassroots system, from pre-teen to teen, right up to young adult, if the structure and system is solid, I won't hear that fear in Amsterdam, where Dirk Kuyt, you know, was raised. Because when I went through his biography, and I was so surprised that when he was announced as a Liverpool player, there was a live telecast way back to his hometown. The whole hometown came out. It was a very small town, and look at the large screen, they were clapping and cheering. I mean, it was a whole community's affair. But here, we look at the football industry. Yes, we know it's football, but I'm not going to put my child in there. So how do we take away this fear?
We have to engage the parents. For the past 3 years that we've been doing the league, we've got about 2,000 kids every year, which means 4,000 parents a year to deal with, to answer to have questions that they have to be answered, and we have to show them the pathway. A lot depends on the child, more depends on the parent, just like what you said, because Malaysia and Malaysians being more education-centric, they're more worried about the education than anything, and they don't see the career path here yet. Eventually, it will come to that time when the kid can choose. But the parent needs to be able to take the kid to the training every weekend, make sure he gets to his tuition, make sure his classes are all right. It's the parent's responsibility. You've taken the responsibility, you have a child. And we are starting with the kids. We're trying to get the infrastructure right with the coaches, with the medical, everything right there. So the parents can see, yes, this is a worthwhile development plan. I'm willing to sacrifice X amount of time and put my kid here for the next 5 years and 6 years on a chance that he's going to achieve the dream that he has. But it's up to us, I mean, from our point of view, where we set it up for them. And we have to take them through, and we always engage them. What do you feel the problem is? What can we do? Because a lot of parents come back and say, they've got school exams, they've got school on this day.
Then they're injured and
and all that. So how do we treat these? And unfortunately, there's no infrastructure. We've got to start looking at people like Frenz. We talk to people like Safirul. Hey, do you know any physios for kids who wants to come teach them how proper nutrition, proper things to eat? I really applaud Frenz and that academy. And I'm hoping that in 5 years' time, there are 10 or 20 academies like it, supported by different corporate entities in this country, because that, in a whole, is going to raise the football.
Okay. So that's why one of the main question is, boleh hidup ke? Kalau jadi pemain profesional, can you really make a living by being a professional footballer? In order to answer that, we have to look at the deep pockets, private entities, corporations, good-natured corporate executives like Ruben. So if the industry gets its act in order, administration, governance, everything, the structure, there's no issue, right? Corporations will put money and invest.
corporations should put money to invest, but not because of CSR.
Okay.
That's the government's role, really. I think corporations should put money because they see a good return. That's the only way you're going to get corporates there on a long-term basis. Yeah. CSR, you can twist somebody's arm to do it this year, twist somebody else's arm to do it next year.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable in the long term. But if you make it, if you get the structure right and that it's worth the investment or worth the risk, then it makes sense. Going back to the question of the parents, the issue is, why is it that parents in Europe want their kids to play football as opposed to here where they are a bit wary to send their kids? I think it's a question of risk versus reward. Okay. The reward there is so high if you become a Cristiano Ronaldo, and therefore it's worth taking the risk. Whereas here, the maximum you could go is not very high, and therefore, and you have to remember the life cycle of a player is only basically the high income part is only maximum 10 years. Yes. And if you're earning 20,000 ringgit for 10 years, that's good, but you know it's not enough for a whole career. And if you don't have anything to fall back on after, it's actually quite risky. But in Europe, if you're earning 200,000 euros a week, you don't need to earn anything anymore after that. It doesn't matter whether you have education or not, really, in that market. So the key here is that if they get the structure right here, which means that we have a system where the players are actually earning an amount which makes their post-football career irrelevant, it is probably worth taking the risk.
Agreed.
But saying that, I also want to add that there are parents in Malaysia who have realized this and are taking their kids to Europe. Okay. They're actually investing in their kids, bringing them to academies in Europe to make sure that when they come out of these academies, they actually play for European teams. And therefore, they're taking the same risk-reward structure as the European parents.
But we want scale also to the mass number. That can be done, but that's the alternative way. But we want it to be mainstream, and I have had the opportunity, this is Astro AWANI, I've sat down with the Vice President of Marketing of Samsung, and he explained to me why Samsung chose Chelsea and Dam. He wouldn't tell me because it's secret, but it's millions and millions of US dollars, and it has helped them penetrate markets where they cannot go before with the Samsung brand. A good example will be your smartphone. Shall talk about that in another show, but for this show, with that I'm going to Safirul, because if we market it right, if we coin the product right, we brand it right, then we wouldn't be talking to why is it that Safi Salih has been now status single as compared to before. We would be talking about how many goals, and 10 of them have been really goal of the day. But no, we were talking about something else. So even when we have gems, we're not polishing them. So maybe the system must come up with a package, and that package will be presented to people like Ruben and all the rest, and the parents out there. Then only we can make a change.
Just on one area alone, a lot of people have not addressed this. We are talking about grassroots from maybe 6 to 15 to 16, but there's a huge vacuum. It's actually in the collegiate. The US got it right. It's the other way around. The parents will tell their kids, you better be good at basketball because that will assure a degree for you.
Because of scholarships.
Because of being a student athlete. So that, if some people can look at collegiate having good athletic programs, that means you know, players with the good head.
That's why we are here. You have to bring me again with panelists like this, because we will continue discussion. That's all the time we have. But this is Astro AWANI, and this is also a partnership with KBS, because we want to raise issues, we want to engage with the public, and we want to change the status quo. So we'll see you in another episode when we talk about the sports industry. Again, until then, take care and goodbye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.